Food was missing from his pantry, so he did this. Sometimes we go through our day with the motivation of going home to our favorite snack or a refreshing drink we bought from our weekend grocery session. This guy might have been just like that, except he finds his food missing from his pantry. It dragged on for some days until he couldn't take it anymore. He started questioning his girlfriend if she was the one taking everything. But as he was preparing to catch her in the act, he was taken by surprise by the most unexpected thing. Watch the video from the camera he had set up on his kitchen. He was not ready for what it revealed. Joe Cummings, an actor, had been living in his New York Manhattan apartment for a couple of years now. Everything was going fine in his daily life until one day he couldn't help but notice something. The actor even reached the point of wanting to get out of his humble abode as soon as possible. It took him several days when he finally took notice that the food seems to keep vanishing from his storage. He did not think about it much at first, but after replenishing his supplies one day, he couldn't help but notice that almost half of everything was gone. Not knowing what to think of this anymore, he decided to approach her. The actor was on cloud nine. He was living together with his girlfriend in his apartment and they shared a stable relationship. Their lifestyle was that of a young couple living in the city where all their dreams came true. It was an understatement to say that, but they had nothing more to ask for. However, there came a day that Cummings could not take it anymore. He could not help but hear the squealing of a door, thumps on the floor, and even what he believes was footsteps in the kitchen, all while he was still sleeping. As if the disturbances were not enough, he would also wake up to the disappearance of most of his food, and he grew sick and tired of it. Cummings had enough, and he couldn't take it anymore. He proceeded to confront his girlfriend to ask her if she was the one taking all his food. Already temperamental, he even went as far as addressing the matter as stealing, yet it did not go very well in his favor. Their fairy tale relationship was starting to be one of uncertainty. After a while, the relationship and everything in between started to get tense. He kept questioning, but she kept denying, and so he had no option left other than to catch her in the act. Unbeknownst to him, what we will see was much worse than what he had ever had in mind. He can't go on living like this. The amount of food that he was losing was not a joke anymore. He knew that he had to do something about it already. This just can't keep on happening to him. His girlfriend was in denial of the accusations, and there is no one else to blame anymore. The situation is making him crazy. Cummings started doubting himself if he was imagining things, if the house was haunted, or if this could be the doing of an animal that kept getting in. He remembered, though, that he was sure he always closed all the doors and windows before going to bed, and then he reached the assumption that whatever it was already inside his house. Not wanting this crisis to end his long-loving relationship with his girlfriend, he knew that he needed to find some answers. The actor finally acted up on it and decided to plant a hidden camera at an angle where the kitchen and part of the living space could be seen clearly. To make sure his plan would not flop, he did not tell a single soul. Of course, he also did not tell his girlfriend about it. Part of him still believes that it was her who was crunching away on his snacks in the middle of the night, despite her consistent denial of it. Still, he could not seem to grasp the whys of such actions. In the end, nothing could have possibly prepared him for what the truth he had found. With all the time and effort he put into figuring out the answers, he thought he was ready to find out the truth and proceeded on setting everything up. He was not satisfied in simply planting a hidden camera. He even went as far as getting night vision for it in the hopes of acquiring all the juicy details of his girlfriend's midnight ventures. In the first parts of the recording, Cummings can be seen leaving the kitchen. After that, the kitchen is left totally alone, but the kitchen's vacancy did not last for long. Just a couple of moments later, what he thought was his own home transformed into his worst nightmare. The actor's plan was going quite well. He could clearly see the crime scene thanks to the night vision feature edition on his camera. Moments after he had seen himself leaving the kitchen, he saw a woman coming down from what looks like an upper-level storage unit in the kitchen. "I knew it," he exclaimed to himself. The mystery of his missing food unfolds in front of his eyes. He was definitely sure that it was his girlfriend stealing his food all along. Still, he can't understand why she would keep it a secret and not tell him instead. Cummings thought that his girlfriend was playing a joke on him, but he kept watching the footage at hand, and what happened next shook him to the core. The video rolled on and it continued to show the woman's actions. She crawled out of the upper-level storage unit and onto a nearby table. After that, she continued to steady herself as she took a booth and placed it just at the right level so that she could leap down. Just watching her, one could say this was definitely not her first time performing the act, seeing as she knew exactly where to position herself. It was when the woman turned towards the camera when Cummings realized that he got it wrong. The woman he was watching all along was not who he thought it was. Still, watching as the mystery unfolds, Cummings' scalp prickled and his breath halted at the sight of the woman who turned out to be a complete stranger. His heart thudded louder and louder. The culprit he was looking for was just in front of him now, but still, he could not take his eyes off the video. He continued to watch the unwelcome guest. The woman in question proceeded to roam his kitchen. First, she looked in the refrigerator and drank straight from a carton of juice. Then, she urinated in the kitchen before continuing her food hunting in the pantry. The actor's stomach knotted at the scene. Finally, he found the answer to his missing food misery. All this time, he was actually sharing his food involuntarily with a strange woman who had been hiding out in his apartment. This woman, who was not related to him in any way, was bold enough to sit down and get comfortable on his couch and munched on snacks from his pantry. After a while, something startled her too comfortable state. She heard floorboards creaked as the real owner of the apartment made his way to the kitchen for a glass of water. The unwelcome guest bolted and found a hiding spot, only to come out later when she was sure the coast was clear. The strange woman continues to drink and eat whatever she can, as she was in for an all-you-can-eat. When she finally had enough, or in this case, it was merely likely that she knew the owner's waking time, she hastily retreats to her hiding spot. It would not be a surprise if this was her daily routine all along. As the camera continues to record, Cummings can be seen in the kitchen the next morning. He was getting ready to go out for his morning run. Just like what his unwelcome guest did a few hours before, he opens the fridge and drinks from the exact same carton she drank from. Still, Cummings had no idea that he was not alone. When it was finally time to review the tape, Cummings definitely was not ready for any of this. He could not believe what he found as he finished watching the tape until the very end. His hunch that someone was stealing his food was correct, except that it was not his girlfriend. So I kept on finding food missing in my apartment that I knew I wasn't eating. I confronted my girlfriend who lives with me about it, and she claims she wasn't eating it. Cummings claims in his YouTube video he immediately called the police after what he had seen. A ball of terror formed in the pit of his stomach and a series of chills raced up his spine after witnessing the recording that his hidden camera held. What he initially thought was the reason turned out to be something more disturbing and terrifying. He did not feel safe anymore. His discovery led him to believe that he had to get out of there as soon as possible. The home that he lived in for years was not safe anymore. Quickly, he ran out the door and called for police, still gasping for air both from the shock of mystery and the labor of running. What the police told him rattled his core even more. It was discovered that the strange woman had been there for over 2 weeks after her arrest. I have no idea how she got in there. The only way is in through the window, as I'm on the top floor and there's a fire escape. The police think she was probably coming in to rob me when I was gone and decided to stay in the crawl space. Supposedly, this isn't the first time the cops had come across something like this, Cummings shared on his YouTube video. The fact that the woman had been in his apartment for over 2 weeks ramped his pulse up. He posted the video and it went viral immediately. While some question it, there are others who panicked and investigated their own houses. Indeed, invasion of privacy is not something that could provide sound sleep.